All right, welcome back. This is part 2 of the stencil coding, the basics at least. Okay, so in the last video I did 2 keyboard events to basically start and stop the ship. Now if I want to go to the right and I want to go up and down, I would have to do 2 events for every single one of those directions, and that would get really clunky, and it'd be a lot of work. So one of the really nice things about coding and programming is that you're always trying to find the most elegantly simple way of doing something, right? And so I'm gonna actually delete these. So I'm gonna click on them, hit minus, and erase those. Okay. So the better way of doing it is to just use one event for them all. So I'm going to go to Add Event, Basics, and I'm going to stick with the basics here. So when creating is when your game starts, so when the game is created, then the action will take place. When drawing is actually what helps you put text on your screen, so if you want to show the score or the health or the ammo or something like that. When updating is a really popular one. We'll use that an awful lot. When updating basically means always. It means when the game engine actually ticks, and most game engines are many ticks per second, usually 60, I think maybe 70 ticks per second, something like that on modern day devices. Okay, so it basically means always. That's really the most important thing. And there you go. So this is for every frame of the game, which is usually 70. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually go over here and we're going to click on a category called Flow. And Flow is a very important category. And you'll see that we have some really cool subcategories over here. We're going to look at the first one called Conditions. So basically, conditions is going to sound a little bit like algebra. So it's going to say, if this happens, then that happens. And that's what we have here. We have if statements, we have otherwise statements, and we have otherwise if statements. And if you've done traditional coding before, you might recognize those. Apologies for the dog in the background. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in an if block and snap it under there, and you can see that it just nests over there. And then what I'm going to do is I want to put in something inside this little hexagon shape here. I need to put something where it's a comparison. And the comparison that I'm looking for, you can do this one of two ways. You can either click right here in this little empty block here, and then you get all these different categories that are really coming over from the right-hand side. Or you can do it over here on the right-hand side, but sometimes it's easier here. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for user input, because I basically want to say that if a certain control is being pressed, then do something. So I would go to user input, I then come down here to keyboard, and I would choose control is down. Okay, and you can see that it fits in here nicely. Now if I didn't do that, I'll just go ahead and delete it. I could come over here to user input, and you see we have the different categories here, and I can see right here, if control is down. And then I can just drag and drop it right into that little spot there. So I'm going to say, we're going to do left and right first. So I'm going to say if left is down, and then what is it going to do? So then I'm going to go back over here, I'm going to type in actor, do my search, and I'm going to find set X speed, and place it in there like that. And I'm going to set my X speed to -5, and I remember that from the last tutorial, and there we go. I'll go ahead and hit save. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to set up all of the other directions, and the cool thing is I can just use this one updating event and I can put in all of the other ones here. So I'm going to come back over here to flow, and you'd think that you would say if left is down, do this, if right is down, do this, if up is down, do this, if down is down, do this. And you'd think that you could go ahead and use all these different if controls. And it sounds like it makes sense, but what we want now is we want the otherwise if block. And so with otherwise if, it basically means if left is down, do this, otherwise if right is down, do this. So now what I want to do is I want to get the same thing, so I want to say otherwise if, and I want to choose this time right, otherwise if right is down, I want to set the X speed to +5. So again, I can go over here to actors, I can go to motion, I could type in the search actors up here, but this is actually where that block lives. So under motion, here's set X speed for actors. So I can just drag it out over here. One more little tip is that if the block is already here and all I want to do is copy it instead of searching for it over here, I can just I can hold down the Alt or Option key on a Mac. When I hold down Option and I left click and I drag, it will actually duplicate that block, and that way I can go much faster. So that's what I'm going to do from here on out. If I need to duplicate a block, I'll just hold down the Option key, left click, and drag it down, and there we go. So all I need to do now is change this from -5 to +5. Okay, and make sure that it's set to X speed because that is the horizontal direction, and I've got right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this now, and I'm going to do up and down, and I'm going to go much faster. So I'm going to duplicate the otherwise if block, hold down Option, and the cool thing about doing it this way is that you'll see that when I duplicated it, it brought everything else along with it. Okay, so now I'm going to do up and down. So this one's going to be up, and so this one then will be down. And now I need to change the blue blocks. So instead of X speed, it's going to be Y speed. And now I need to choose what direction is it, or is it positive or negative? So I'm going to say that down is -5, and up is +5, down is -5. And you know what? I happen to know that that is actually incorrect. I'm sorry. Up is in the negative direction in stencil's coordinates. I know that might seem a little strange, but you would basically test your game and find out that you need to do the exact opposite. So up is going to be in the negative, which I know seems very strange from all of your math classes. Negative would be going downward. Stencil is a little bit backwards. I forget the exact reason as to why, but that's just the way it is. Okay, so we now have the 4 directions. If I were to go ahead and test this out, and I'm going to pause the video. Okay, and we're back, and now if I do left, right, up, down, it's working, but when I let go of the keys, and I can go diagonally, which is cool, but when I let go of the keys, I keep sliding, so that's obviously not a good thing. So I need to code that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So now I'm going to go back to my flow category, and I'm going to bring out an otherwise block and snap that in the bottom. And I'm going to say otherwise, I'm going to hold down Option, and I'm going to drag down, and I'm going to make 2 of these. And I'm going to say set X speed to 0, set Y speed to 0. So that simple little last block there, that basically means that if I'm pressing one of these 4 arrow keys, do these 4 actions here. Otherwise, if I'm not pressing any of those 4 keys, set the speed to 0, which essentially is the stop. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna pause the video so you don't have to watch stencil make the game, and then I'll come back when it's ready to actually test. Okay, so we're back for the final moment, and here I am pressing the up, down, left, right arrow keys, and I can even go diagonal if I press 2 keys at once, which is cool. And if I let go, it stops. So that is it. That is awesome. So the very last thing I want to show you is all of this really great little block code here, this visual programming that we did. You can actually come up here and you can click on this middle button for preview code, and this is what Stencil has made for you. So everything that we just did, that is here. Stencil is doing that in the background, so it's really cool. So if you are interested in learning code, you can come here and you can actually learn it. And you can see right here, here is our when updating block. And you can see if a certain key is down, left, set the actor's velocity to -5. And so that's basically what it looks like in code. It's the exact same thing for making our character move left. So, but I prefer this way. It's much easier, it's faster, nothing against coding. I'm just not a programmer at all. So if you understand traditional coding, that is fantastic. All right, I hope this video helped you out, and go ahead and practice and see what you can come up with on your own. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.